Pan tam był. Czy Ziemia rzeczywiście jest kulą zawieszoną w kosmosie?
Jest płaska. Tak jak oczekują i nie spodziewałem się co prawda tego pytania, ale zapewniam pana, że jest płaska.
Generał Mirosław Hermaszewski, jak dotąd pierwszy i ostatni Polak, który odbył lot orbitalny. Dziękuję serdecznie za rozmowę.
Dziękuję, kłaniam się. Jest płaska. Tak jak oczekują i nie spodziewałem się co prawda tego pytania, ale zapewniam pana, że jest płaska.
In this video, we will show one possibility on why the sun and moon wagon wheel across the sky. We will start by observing sunspot rotation from 41 degrees north latitude. I'd like you to pay attention to the time in the bottom right-hand corner and the arrow that will be placed to show the alignment of the sunspots. It is around 10 o'clock, and you can see as we jump forward about an hour, each time the sun continues to rotate clockwise to our perspective. Here at 2 in the afternoon, it's moved almost 90 degrees already. And by its finish, it has. Next we will observe the moon doing the same thing. Again, the time in the bottom right-hand corner, and we will observe this spot right here as it rotates clockwise. You can see each picture is about an hour later, if not more. The spot, just like the spots on the sun, rotate clockwise throughout the evening. I learned this myself from a great video content creator named Phuket Word here on YouTube. He has all kinds of videos on perspective and how your eyes work, so go check out his channel. All you will need to try this at home and recreate it is a ceiling fan, a flat circular disc, and your eyes. We will observe from 4 different vantage points: directly under the pole, halfway to the disc, directly under the disc, and then about the same distance outside of the disc. We will also observe it while it is rotating in a counterclockwise rotation. We will start out with our first video directly under the North Pole. I will zoom in after each rotation, focus, and place a little crosshair. As you can see, the blue is on top and the red is on the bottom. As I rotate it here, you will see that it really doesn't rotate to our perspective due to the fact that we are standing on the pole. Once again, the blue is on top, the red is on bottom. Pretty close to just how it was in our previous picture. This would be in a southerly spot from our vantage point. And again, we see the blue on top and the red on the bottom. Our next position will be taken from around 45 degrees north latitude, or halfway between the pole and the disk. You can see we're starting on the opposite side of the pole, to where we were always started with the blue on top and the red on the bottom. I would like to apologize for all the long pauses between shots, but I wanted to make sure it was a complete video with 0 cuts. due to the fact that we have a different point of rotation, or perspective if you will. We will now notice a different amount of rotation when viewing the disk. As you can see, we have rotated a little bit counterclockwise. This happens in the early morning and the late evening. Here, around the midday point, we see that the disk is the same as when we started, with the blue near the top and the red near the bottom, just slightly askew. This next rotation is where we will see one of the greatest amounts of rotation. I would like you to pay attention, since we are always rotating clockwise while we are inside the arc of the disk, near the mid part of the day. And with our last rotation, we see that the disk has even rotated a little bit more clockwise. Here in our third shot, we will be looking directly under the equator. Again, we start from the polar opposite side, so the blue is on top and the red is on the bottom. We would never see this view in real life, as the sun would be in a position to where we would not be able to see it. This would be closer to sunrise, and we can already see the disk has rotated to the left. As we bring it up near the midday, it rotates even more to the left. Again, I apologize for the long videos. And here's where the interesting part takes place. Directly overhead, we have to switch and turn around to see it, which means we have switched 180 degrees to keep viewing the disk. And now the blue is on the opposite side. We have just witnessed a full 180 degree rotation because we ourselves had to turn to keep seeing the disk. This is just showing how a sunset may look while the disk is rotating constantly. This would be beyond our path to where we would be able to see the sun anymore, but as you can see, the disk does not stop rotating. Only from the center, or the pole, does the disk stop rotating. Then we move it out to around 45 degrees south latitude. Just like all the other shots, we start from across the pole, a position where we would not see the sun. We can see as it starts to rise that it is rotated to the left once again. Now, looking very much like it was at the equator, our blue is all the way to the left with our red facing to the right. as it rotated a full 90 degrees already to the left. Here's where it gets interesting, folks. When the disk is directly north of us, we now see it in the complete opposite, the red at the top and the blue at the bottom, the same way we see the moon in opposite directions, from the north to the south. We rotate it around again, and we see that the disk has rotated once again, in a counterclockwise rotation. Now this brings up a very interesting question. Shouldn't the sun or moon from the southern pole do the exact same as it does from the north, and not appear to rotate at all? Could one trip to Antarctica in one afternoon put the heliocentric model to bed forever?
But the ultimate and most dangerous test was a huge, specially constructed vacuum chamber.
They were able to pull all the air out to create a big vacuum, just like it would be on the moon. That way we could test our suits to make sure there was no leakage.
One such test narrowly avoided disaster. Jim LeBlanc was the test subject in the vacuum chamber. Cliff Hess, the supervising engineer outside.
Jim, while you're exercising, I'd like you to stay intermediate all the time, okay? I'm pretty cool right now. Okay, well, you'll warm up here in a minute, so let's stay right here if you can stand it.
The testing started just normally, like they all do. And Jim was at a vacuum in the spacesuit.
Well, I feel pretty good here.
With all the air sucked out, all that protected him was his pressurized suit. Then something happened.
I heard over the headset that he was losing suit pressure.
The tube pressurizing his suit had become disconnected.
Inlet valve is open.
He was in serious danger.
Pressurize the chamber.
There really wasn't any feeling. It was just happening so fast, trying to get the chamber back to a safe pressure and Jim to a safe pressure was inside the suit.
As I stumbled backwards, I could feel the saliva on my tongue starting to bubble just before I went unconscious. And that's kind of the last thing I remember.
Essentially, he had no pressure on the outside of his body, and that's a very unusual case to get, and there's very little in the medical literature as to what happens when you have that. There's a lot of conjecture, that your fluids will boil.
Within 25 seconds, a co-worker, sitting in a partially pressurized antechamber and wearing an oxygen mask, was able to dash in. At the normal rate of repressurization, it would have taken 30 minutes to make the chamber safe. Hess repressurized it in just over a minute.
That's much, much faster than you would ever come down in an airplane. It would really hurt your ears if you did that.
Finally, it was safe to let a doctor in. Miraculously, LeBlanc had already regained consciousness.
When I stood up in the chamber, I felt fine. My ears ached a little bit from the course of rapid repressurization, and that's basically the only effect I had.
It was one of the few instances where anybody was ever exposed to that low of a pressure and lived to tell about it with no obvious damage.
Such an accident in space would have been fatal. But thanks to testing like this, no astronaut has ever had to face a similar situation.
What's up, guys? I've been reading comments and a lot of you been asking to put water in a vacuum. So let's check it out. So I got water over here. We're gonna fill it up the beaker with water. Boom. Then we're gonna cover it with the vacuum chamber and then turn it on and see what happens. you can see a little bit of bubbles start going. And, whoa, it start boiling. How cool is that? Looks like it's boiling a lot. Wow. Pretty awesome, huh?
At the beginning of the video he shows a CD or a disc. He immediately draws the geometric shape of an oblate spheroid. We can see how he separates the oblate spheroid with a disc that has a hole in the center. Then, below he draws a circle with a swastika inside and immediately paints it completely black. From this black circle rays come out and 3 rays pass through the hole in the center. Below he writes, "Still." One of the possible meanings of this black circle may be the black sun. He draws reliefs on the edge of the hole and writes North Pole. And above this hole inside what would be the celestial vault he draws a star, the polar star or Polaris. He marks 2 points and connects them in a circle and writes, equator. He draws 2 lines that go down from the polar star to the 2 points. The lines form a triangle. He highlights 2 of the rays coming out of the black sun and also forms a triangle but vice versa. And he writes, "As above so below." It's one of the 7 principles of Hermes Trismegistus. It appears on the Emerald Tablet and then in the Kabbalion. He erases the intersections and draws the sun and moon. And he makes a gesture of rotation. He draws 2 arrows to show the distance of the moon and the sun. both are 3,300 miles or 5,310 kilometers away. Then he measures the diameter of the Sun and Moon, being the same with a diameter of 32 miles or 51 kilometers. He draws continents on the surface and on the other side as well. He points both sides and writes, same. Below he writes summer land. He draws rays coming out of the black sun and writes, Northern Lights. The center of the drawing is equal to the Mason symbol, which is a square and a compass. He points out the ray coming out of the black sun toward the moon and then he erases the face of the moon. He makes signs explaining that the sun doesn't light up the moon. Who does it is the black sun.